Hey, I'm back again. I have got some very interesting things that I want to share. I'm not going to be long. My Bible study is going to start in just a few minutes, but I really wanted to come on now instead of coming on later. Uh, to be late. People will be getting ready for bed. I don't know if they'll be too interested in coming on, and I wanted to share this. I have been having some very interesting things take place. God is unique when He starts sharing stuff, and just to give a rundown of what happened the last time is I shared about me and my daughter-in-law and my son, coming together on the 24th. It was just Sunday. And I had just had a Bible study that was all about the Red Sea crossing. And just to revamp it right fast, it's in Exodus. And I'm not going to read it all. I'm just going to revamp about how the angel went behind them with a cloud. It's like a fog, a cloud. It was just a fog. And hid the children of Israel before they were going to run into their enemies. They were hiding them. The angel hid. The Lord hid them. And they were camped at the Red Sea, and all night the Lord hid them with a fog, and it's called a cloud. Same difference to me. And then the wind started blowing really hard, the sea started parting, and the Israelites started off onto dry ground. Well, when they got past that area, they got over there, then the wind blew again. And when the wind blew again, the sea started collapsing on top of their enemies. So now I have lived this out, and God is that unique, y'all. I have started living this out in real life. And I'm just going to tell you, on the 24th of last month, January, we had that fog come in. Great big fog during the day, all day long. And it's the same day that we saw the crane standing in the water, which represents a messenger. A white crane represents a messenger from God. And this is just a recap, because what I'm fixing to tell you, it's not the same thing. This is pretty exciting. In fact, really exciting. And I'm stepping out in faith, y'all, because I was afraid not to share it tonight and right now, because I knew this is about to happen. I mean, like I said, you can't make this stuff up. So the Red Sea, we had the fog on the 24th, and we saw the pelican standing in the water, which represents a messenger from God, a messenger saying that it's time. And it's in Jeremiah 8:7 about, it says that the swift and the swallow observe the time of their coming. Time, y'all, this is time. And it says, but my people do not know the judgment of the Lord. And that, there's no accidents with God. So then there was also a sand hill. I think it's a hill sand or a sand hill crane that was out there with them. And what I thought was interesting about that is it expressed in the Google that this thing had a bugle, absolutely a bugle voice. It could be heard everywhere, and it compared it like a rolling trumpet. And guys, I'm taking that like God is sounding this alarm loud and clear. You're not going to mistake it. He's sounding this alarm loud and clear about what He's about to do. So on Monday, which was the 25th, the day after this had taken place, I was at my work. We had that massive windstorm, and it was massive. I thought we were having a tornado. I even asked my maintenance, should we get in the closet? Because I thought it was a tornado. It lasted about 15 minutes, and I knew that something was up. Y'all, this thing is following right in line with Exodus, about the fog, about the wind. And then right after that, I got on my phone that showed up when I went to go check the weather. That's what I went, because that was crazy wind. And what popped up in my news feed was from the Inquirer. And this is what it said. It says, that the split has widened in the Republican Party. Well, the split in that Republican Party, well, the Republican Party is red. And it said it had widened. It had widening. Now, I'm living this out, and this is how God speaks. You want to know how God speaks? Pay attention to what's going on around you. So that's just a recap of what I went through from the 24th up until the 25th. Well, on the 1st of February, what we just experienced, just passed this week, Monday, I was sitting at my office getting ready for a refi walk. And I'm not paying attention to anything. And that's usually how God catches you, is off guard. And you know that it's Him. And where my office is, it overlooks the pool. I can see the window, through the window. I see the walkway. My computer faces out that window. And I'm working, and I'm not paying attention to what's going on out the window. But I couldn't help this huge bird get my attention. And it was really kind of frightening. This thing was huge. And when I got to looking at it, because it had got my attention, I noticed that this thing was at first I thought it was a buzzard, but it wasn't a buzzard. When I went and looked it up, this thing was a vulture. And there's distinct differences, whether it's a buzzard and whether it's a vulture. And I'm not going to explain why it would be a buzzard, what it is to be a buzzard, but I'm going to tell you what it'd be, a vulture. Anyway, when I got and looked out the window, these things are massive, y'all. They're not only massive, they are ugly as sin. These things are ugly. I mean, they're frightening looking. I was really just blown away. I have never seen one of those things come into that close of contact with living things. And nobody was outside, when it came up, but it was walking right there in front of my window of my office. And then another one was perched over there on the fence to the pool. Well, I knew that was not normal. That was just not normal. I couldn't believe that. I've never had that happen. And I was really dumbfounded, and I went home and I started researching it. And when I researched it, the Lord brought me to Revelations 19 and 17. And I'm going to read you the commentary out of my New King James Version, what the gist of Revelation 19 and 17 is. And I was like, okay, God, I am listening. You have got my undivided attention. In Revelation 19 and 7, I'll just read you 19 and 17 right fast, and then I'll read you the commentary about it. I'm going to have to turn my page. I was blown away. Totally blown away. And you can go verify all this stuff in Exodus 14, the step-by-steps of when everything was taking place and what we're experiencing. Or what I'm experiencing, what my daughter-in-law is experienced with me. She's had the pleasure to experience this with me, and I'll explain that in just a minute. But in 19 and 17, let me look. 11, 12, 15. 17. It says, "Then I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather together for the supper of the great God, that you may eat the flesh of kings, the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men, the flesh of horses, and those who sit on them, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both small and great." Okay, now I'm going to read you the commentary. I just couldn't believe it. It says in 19 and 17, it says, "The birds are told to gather to feast on the carcasses of the fallen armies gathered in opposition against Christ." Now, y'all, I can't make this up. This is where the Lord led me, and this is what I saw. I mean, I saw these big, huge vultures walking in front of my window, and I'm not looking for this stuff. I'm busy. I have, a refi walk that's fixing to take place, and I'm trying to prepare the property for this, and my focus is on the computer, and here I see these big, huge, ugly, and they're huge when they're down out of the sky and right in front of you. They're like a miniature horse. They're huge. And maybe that's a little bit of exaggeration. I don't really think so. I wish I'd have taken a picture of it, but it flew away because I startled it when I was so flabbergasted and got up and went and looked out the window. It took off. So, but that's what this means. And I'm going to read that again because it's so powerful. And it's really funny because it's talking about armies. What happened at the Red Sea? There was an army. And now I want to explain something here. I believe the Lord is showing me the reason I'm seeing this. And then a confirmation with my daughter-in-law. They've been flying around her house. She sent me a video the other day. And she's been seeing them. And it's really funny because she is also seeing some of the same things I'm seeing. And she sent me the video of the vultures flying around. And they look the same. They're the same bird flying around her house. And when a vulture is flying around, their main thing is they have a keen sense of smell for a vulture. And they have a keen sense of smell for death. Absolute death. What does it say in here? They gather to feast on carcasses, dead things. Okay, so here we've got a vulture, that we're seeing vultures, and I believe that God is showing me that this is absolutely a sign of it's time. That these things are smelling, or they're preparing, seeing the carcasses of our enemies about to fall. And it's just a word from heaven saying, look, they're starting to circle. They see what's about to happen. God is about to take the enemy out. Okay, today I go to work, minding my own business once again. We have a huge wind all day long. All day long. We've seen these vultures, and now I'm having a wind. A vulture comes when somebody's about to die, or they smell something's about to die. They can smell death is about to take place. And the wind that I experienced today, they even put it on our news, or not our news, but I do the Weather Channel a lot. The Weather Channel, and it states on the Weather Channel that we had lake wind advisories, or we had wind advisories. I don't even know if it said the lake wind. I know the wind was really bad today. When you go back and you look in Exodus, when they crossed the Red Sea, after they crossed the Red Sea, and they get over there, a great wind blew again and made the Red Sea start falling back down. That's how God made that sea collapse on itself, is he made a great wind. Y'all, I'm seeing all this seems like it's playing out in the physical. And that's how God works. Playing it out in the physical. From the fog to the... my dogs are barking. Forgive them. And it's big dogs. I'd say it kind of look like that big vulture, except for my dog's cute. So you have the fog, and then you have the crane. The crane also represents the judgment is coming, and that it's time, and it's God sending a messenger. And then on the 25th, that crazy wind that almost blew everything over. I literally was about to take cover in my office. And then now that passes, and then I get the Inquirer saying the split has widened in the Republican Party, which is red. And now I'm seeing vultures, literally vultures flying around, which God has sent me to scriptures in the Word of God saying that God is, and I'm going to read it again because, y'all, it's just too powerful not to read it again. It says, the birds are told to gather to feast on the carcasses of the fallen armies gathered in opposition against Christ. See, what we don't realize is this is not about us, even though it's about us. I know that's going to sound kind of crazy. This is an enemy an enemy of God, and I'm not talking people, versus the great I am. And the enemy of God is literally coming down and fixing to rescue his people from what the enemy is doing to us, or trying to do to us and this nation. And he has literally given me an illustration of these vultures that are circling, and it's circling in a metaphor of the stench, the smell. They can smell that the enemy's fixing to fall. And then I get this massive wind today. This massive wind, we have advisory winds that's been posted all day. The wind is blown horrendous all day long, which is the conclusion of this Red Sea walls falling back down. And I'm going to go over here to Exodus because I want to read that part. And then I'm going to get off here because I know that I have people coming. And I don't want to make them wait, but I had to come on. I had to come on and share this. It says right here, and I'm going to just read it right fast. It says, the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I have gained honor for myself. That's what God's after, the honor. He doesn't want anybody to get the honor. We're going to see this, y'all. We're going to see God in the forms that we've all desired to see him in. You're not going to be able to mistake it. You can't explain it away. We're going to see God. It is going to be an awe moment, a Red Sea moment. What are you saying to me, Haley? You're good. We aren't on our way. Oh, good. So we're going to see God in his fullest. We're going to see like an upper room. We're going to see a Red Sea. We're going to see a Noah's Ark. We're going to see a move of God like we have never seen in our time. Our time. Okay. And all the things that God has given me in the physical is step by step. And I'm fixing to read it to you. It says, the angel of God who went before the camp of Israel moved and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud went from before them and stood behind them. God was covering them. That was the fog on Sunday the 24th. So it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. Thus it was a cloud and darkness to the one, and it gave light by night to the other, so that the one did not come near the other all that night. It was a fog. God was protecting his people. What has God been doing right now, y'all? He's been protecting his people. We've had a fog protecting us. It says, then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry into dry land, and the waters were divided. Guys, that's what happened on Monday. There was a great and mighty wind. Now, no, did it blow all night long? No, it didn't have to. You know, when God's talking to you, you know when God's talking to you. It is unusual things. He gets your attention and he's like tapping you on the shoulder. It's like, wake up. I got something to say. And if you'll listen, you can hear what he's got to say, because he's no respecter of persons. He will talk to anybody that is willing to yield and listen to him. So the east wind that was all night made the sea into a dry land, and the waters were divided. What happened? Well, guess what happened? The next day I get that message from the Inquirer that the split had widened. Absolutely, the split had widened in the Republican Party. Now, that is red, and that's how God talks. It is a Red Sea parting. Now, what God's intentions is and his plans, that's up to him. That's his business. It's not for me to dictate how he's going to do this, when he's going to do this, but he is going to do this. So it goes on to say, so the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea. Y'all, we are on the ground walking through the Red Sea right now. We're walking in the Red Sea. It's on dry ground. We're crossing it. The Lord has shown me that totally. I know it. It's happening, and it's exciting. It says the Egyptians, wait, let me go back. And the waters were a wall to them on the right hand and on their left hand. Now I'm in verse 23 now of Exodus 14. And so it says, the Egyptians pursued and went after them into the midst of the sea, and all of Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. Now it came to pass in the morning watch that the Lord looked down upon the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud, and he troubled the army of Egyptians. He took off their chariot wheels so that they drove them with difficulty. And the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Israel, from the Lord fights for the oh God, I'm murdering this, y'all. Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fights for them against the Egyptians. Y'all, when this is going on, all I can see is those vultures that came upon my property, right in my window. Y'all, that's not normal for a vulture to come in like that. And he did. He came in and was walking. And I am telling you, with everything I've got, I know that the Lord was trying to say, they smell it. It's about to happen. It's circling. It's like it's circling. We're fixing to see this happen. They're circling. They got an idea, that the sea water walls are about to drop on the enemy. Y'all, you can't make this up. I mean, I still am in awe at seeing this big, huge, ugly vulture at my window. I mean, that's not normal. It is not normal. So it goes on to proceed that Moses has stretched out his hand over the sea. And when the morning appeared, wait, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. It says, the Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and when the morning appeared, the sea returned to its full depth while the Egyptians was fleeing into it. And the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. The water returned and covered the chariots of the horsemen and all the army and the Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. Not as much as one of them remained. Y'all, it was a wind that blew again, that made those sea walls collapse. And today, all day long, we have had wind advisories. And where I'm at, especially because I'm not in a place where there's a lot of buildings, I'm in like an open area as far as I'm close to, I'm on the loop. So it's just an open area. The wind has nothing blocking it where it could blow harder. And it was blowing my mailboxes. So I'm coming on here to say this. And now that I've recapped everything, because you have to recap it to get a visual of what is happening and what I'm experiencing personally, and people in my life that I've been sharing this with, that is literally witnessing the very things that I am sharing with you guys tonight. That wind blew all day today. I am telling you, I believe the Lord is showing me that the enemy is in there, that we are on the other side, and that vulture that is swarming, and my daughter-in-law is telling me that's around her house, she sees them going around and around and around and around her house. She didn't know this. She didn't know what I experienced when she saw that. She saw that back on the 28th. I saw this on Monday. She didn't share it with me. I didn't share it with her. And then when I shared it with her, finally, when I believed the Lord had given me a message with it, she showed me the videos of what was happening around her house, and it was the identical bird. Y'all, this is how God speaks to his people. And these vultures are seeing the enemy. They're seeing the enemy. They're in position. They're in position, and the wind is starting to blow. Y'all, the waves are coming down. Those vultures smell death. Think about that. They smell death. They're circling around on their prey because they smell death. That thing is fixing to collapse. The enemy is fixing to taste, the Lord's judgment. And that's what it comes down to, the Lord's judgment. And you know what, y'all, we don't have to do anything. And right now, it just brings back to me where Miriam was standing over there, and she was clicking her little timbrels, and she was dancing, and she was singing for the Lord, praising him, not because people got hurt. We should never rejoice in any person or being that gets hurt. No, does God mean business? Yes, he does. He said that his enemies is like dogs. They're like dogs, like swine. But the enemy is Satan, and he does use people, and we should never rejoice in a person when they come into judgment. And that's what's happening right now. So this is what I'm presenting to y'all tonight, the enemy is in the Red Sea, and the sea is starting to close in on them. Y'all just rejoice. You need to rejoice. You need to start shouting. You need to start singing, because God is giving us the victory over the enemy that has been pursuing this nation and trying to overthrow it. God is the Alpha and the Omega. He is the beginning. He is the end. And He is not allowing this. In fact, He is showing me in a physical form of a reenactment of the Red Sea crossing. And it is amazing to me. He will never cease to amaze me. And I'm excited. And I was excited to share this. And y'all might think, oh my gosh, she's lost it. No. All I can say is, y'all get alone with God. He will start speaking to you in the same way. You can't make this stuff up. God is real. He is moving. And so my title to this message that God has given me is the Red Sea falling? With my big question mark. I can't tell you the day. I know that the enemy's in there. I know that it's in God's hands. And I know that He says He does what He says He'll do, and He will bring it into fruition. There's waves of falling, and it's time to be dancing and singing, because God is finishing this. And everybody's going to stand in awe and know that God did this thing, and that He's going to get the honor, and He's going to get all of the glory. And I'm excited to be able to share that. I wish I could tell you a date and time, but I can't. It's in God's timing, and His timing is perfect. You can't miss it with God, because He's always right on time. All right. I've said all I've got, y'all. And I'm tickled. I'm just amazed. I can't wait to see what else the Lord shows me. I never dreamed that I would see what I have seen. And I have taken these things to people that are mature, grounded, and sound in God's word. And I have shared these things, and they have told me that no doubt, that God is talking to me. And I know that He's talking to me, and I want to share it with you, because it's time to rejoice. We don't have to listen to propaganda. We don't have to listen to the news. We don't have to listen to or look at what we see with our eyes. All we have to do is get in tune with God, listen to what God is saying, and then be still and watch the salvation of the Lord. Y'all have a good evening.